This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 273.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology. The Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, two upcoming events. We have WordSesh, May 22nd, 2019. That's actually like 2 days after this episode comes out, so hopefully you heard this in time to participate. It's free. Check it out over at wordsesh.com. Also, WordCamp Managua, May 24th and 25th. If you were in the vicinity, you should definitely go. It's going to be great, I'm sure. All right, moving on to segment one in the news. A couple things here. If you are a blogger and you write a lot and you use iOS and you're looking for a tool to help you write blog posts, I would recommend checking out the Bear app, B-E-A-R. I know a lot of people do use this in writing in general, not just for blog posts, but now they have integration for WordPress publishing, so check that out. I don't do a lot of blog posting, so I don't use this. Back in the day when I did more blogs, I would actually use the app called, what was it called? I can't remember what it's called all of a sudden. But if it comes to me, I will let you know. Mars Edit. Yes, I used to use Mars Edit because you can actually write content offline and then upload it at a later time, which I really did like a lot. So you can batch upload stuff like that. All right. I think they still do make it, Mars Edit. Okay, so also in the news, my friend Jennifer Bourn, she did a thread over on Twitter regarding speaking at events and some tips that she has to when you reply for a call for papers or a call for speakers. So I'll link to that in the show notes. Like I said, it's a Twitter feed, Twitter stream. I'm not sure exactly the right word here, but pretty cool. And some great information from Jennifer. She's awesome. She has a lot of experience in this arena as well. And lastly in the news, in regards to actually speaking, and it kind of ties right in here, I mentioned a few weeks, if not a few months ago, about passion projects and how do you balance your own things with client work. Well, I finally did just that. I scheduled and chunked off some time on my own calendar, hired myself to pursue a passion project, if you will, an idea I had. So yes, I did buy a domain. For those of you who know, I used to buy lots of domains. I bought one this year so far, only one, and the landing page is up, and I'm moving forward with building a site, gauging interest, etc. New project for me, and that new site can be found over at backupspeaker.com. So check that out if you want. If you're interested in learning more about it, sign up over there. Okay, moving on to the segment 2, meat and potatoes. This week, I interviewed somebody. I interviewed a friend of mine named Scott Wayne about running a small business, the ups and downs, his website, how he had his first website, and then where he's doing new things with a new website, and just overall running a small business. I haven't had a small business owner outside of WordPress on the show, and I've always wanted to kind of do this, and this was perfect. So take a listen to the interview. We'll come back, and we'll wrap things up with the tip and tool of the week. All right, take a listen. Today, I am joined by Scott Wayne. Scott Wayne is a small business owner located here in Cary, North Carolina. He owns and operates Foil Again Chocolate Coins, and I love chocolate, as my audience may know or not know, but that's not the reason why I'm talking to him. There's more to the story, but welcome to the show, Scott.
Thank you very much, Adam. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So, as I often start off interviews, I always tell the audience how I know the person I'm interviewing.
Sure. And
how we know each other. And I know how we met, but I want to see your recollection, your memory on how we met. Do you recall how we met and where?
Yes, we met in a coffee shop that I frequent quite often. Usually spend my mornings there kind of triaging my day and getting ready for it. And I don't remember how we originally started speaking.
You were at the round table. Mm-hmm. I was at the table next to it. Gotcha. And I think I said hi. You might have had a book that I've read or something. And because I'm so shy...
absolutely.
We ended up talking more about stuff and what you did and what I did in the WordPress world.
Sure.
And this conversation is not going to be 100% WordPress focused because, as we spoke before I hit record, I've always wanted to have a small business owner on the show to talk about running a business from what that entails. But also, in your case, you actually do have a WordPress website.
I do.
For your website, the business. We'll talk about that as well.
Okay.
So prior to all that, first question for you is this. For those who don't know you, because obviously no one really knows you in my audience.
Absolutely.
Share, if you would, your path to running a small business. How did you get to running, what you're doing, Foiled Again Chocolate Coins? What is that exactly? But how did you get here to Cary in a brief way, and then what you do now?
I'll give you the condensed version. I've always been and have had an entrepreneurial spirit. I started selling bubble gum in middle school and working my way up from there. I used to sell plants door to door. Eventually got into a business where I was selling a specific type of music online. I built it to one of the larger distributions back when the web was just starting.
Okay.
Had an opportunity to move into this field from marketing, which is what I was doing for a living. I was marketing financial services, working with a friend of mine who was doing kind of chocolate on the side as a freelance thing. And he eventually left the company and started doing full-time chocolate. Grew to the point where he needed someone with some marketing background to help him grow the business. Asked me if I wanted to kind of chuck everything. I was living in the Bay Area at the time. I was a VP of marketing for a financial institution there, and moved from the Bay Area to Houston, Texas. Left the girl I was living with back there, and went in a whole new direction, going to chocolate.
Interesting. Any regrets?
None whatsoever. It really worked out well. This was an opportunity that when it was first presented to me, I knew that if I passed it up, it would be something I'd regret my whole life. I had always wanted to be in business for myself, never had the right product. And when I saw the opportunities within the chocolate market, specifically within doing personalized branded chocolates, it was too good an opportunity to pass up, and I just kind of looked in.
For description reasons and to explain what you do now, so now you run a company called Foiled Again Chocolate Coins.
Yes.
You make customized chocolate coins.
We do.
How do you describe it more than that?
Well, we try to, it's interesting because it's a very rare job. You don't find that many people that are doing this. And so people are usually surprised when they first hear that I do it and do want more information.
I was surprised. I can tell you, I'm making sweet chocolate.
It's not a common job. It's a business that allows me to reach out to both a commercial and also a straight business to consumer product as well, where we can do anything from a logo for a large hotel chain down to a very small, bar mitzvah that we're, happy or Mazel Tov, Michael.
Right.
So it really runs the gamut of small jobs to big jobs, but really anything that can be personalized, whether it's text, graphics, logo, any type of design, we can get it to a format to imprint on chocolate coins.
Right. And for full disclosure, we actually hired you.
You have?
WordCamp Raleigh. We had our 10th anniversary this year, back in April, and we had you print off, was it 500?
You sure did, yeah.
500, we ordered 500, only 475 made it to the camp because I kept the other.
It's a common problem.
Well, I stored them at my house for the month.
There you go.
And not all of them made it to WordCamp. I'm just saying, maybe.
Mice,
exactly. So, you left the Bay Area, go to Houston. You didn't have any ties to the Bay. I mean, you were in a relationship though.
A personal relationship? Yes.
And that just ended because you were leaving?
No, it didn't end.
Was there support there? Did she want to come with you?
She wanted to come with me.
And you said?
We'll see how that plays out.
Okay.
It was one of those things that, looking back, I didn't handle probably as maturely as I could have.
How long ago was that? That was 20 years?
That was, 1999.
Okay.
1999.
So 21 years coming up on it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be 20 years in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So that continued for a couple of years with a little long distance thing back and forth, but eventually fell apart. And
Right. So I want to ask you the question about the business side of things.
Sure.
You went out on your own because you didn't want to have regrets. And you've done that. And you've had the ups and downs, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
So because it's been 20 years, what has been the hardest part about doing this?
I think dealing with the ups and downs of what we've seen in terms of the recession of 2008 was a really devastating time for the business. At the time, I was in a partnership with this other person that I originally started with. We saw business drop 50 to 60% in 2008, and that continued 2009. Really started wearing on the two of our personalities, where we used to make joint decisions together, started butting heads because we had different agendas of how to get through.
Were you 50-50 partners?
51-49. So I was the 49.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's telling in one aspect. I mean, it makes a difference sometimes.
It was a difficult situation.
Sure. Are you still friends?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just as a note to people listening that having a partnership is difficult. It's hard.
It was, and it's a shame. It played out exactly like what they tell you not to go into business with family and friends. It followed that script almost to a T.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for a fact, and from experience, a friend of mine, he's a developer. I connected him and his business partner to a client to do a site. They are no longer business partners or friends. I'm still friends with the main guy.
Sure.
That site never happened. There's been a couple lawsuits. Yeah. It's because relationships like that, overpromises and disagreements on direction, etc.
And anytime money gets involved, it's it's a cliche at this point, but anytime money gets involved, you break the strongest of ties.
Yeah. Okay. So moving 20 years now, we're at this today. We're in 2019. Running a business is hard. You've learned hard lessons. You've gone through a couple changes in the economy, ups and downs. What's the number one takeaway you have in regards to what have you learned that you won't let happen again?
I think not counting yourself out based on those cyclical downturns. It's built back up to a point where I'm not as affected by economic downturns and things of that nature. With the current situation with tariffs being a problem and mine being an imported product, it's always a concern of mine that my costs could go up 25% in any given time.
Interesting.
They haven't chosen to start adding tariffs onto Belgian products yet,
right.
But who knows?
It could happen.
It could happen.
What about the scale of your company? We talked earlier before we hit record. How about the issue of growing, hiring, firing, having employees? Do you have employees now?
Right. I've got a single employee now helping me, looking to add another 2 people during 2019. I've finally gotten the system, the production system, the ordering system, and customer fulfillment to a point where I can put that on autopilot to a certain degree and take a step back and bring in people, teach them the system, and allow me to kind of step away and do more of the marketing, the social media side of it that I haven't been able to do because I've had to do the hands-on production on a daily basis.
Right. Okay, then that leads me to the question of the website. So I went back to Wayback Machine, saw a couple versions of an old website for the company.
Sure.
They were interesting, to say the least.
They were interesting.
So who built the original sites?
That original site was done by an individual that I was given a name of from someone I was friends with in the Bay Area. It was an independent guy who was more on the front end side, didn't really have a back end development part of his toolbox. So he brought in another person. The 2 of them worked on it, one front end, one back end, and it was really just an independent development job at that point.
Was it WordPress back then?
It was not. We were on Drupal.
That's what. Oh wow! Yay! Yeah, we got you off of Drupal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't even check because on Wayback Machine it doesn't tell you; it just shows you screenshots.
Sure.
So that was the one I looked at. I think it was 2010, 2011.
Right.
In that frame, by that time frame. What made you switch? When did you finally switch to WordPress? Did you switch something before that, or after that?
I stayed on the Drupal platform probably till about 2017. So it's been about 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's only been about 2 years that I've been on WordPress. The web had changed quite a bit from 2010, and what at the time I thought was a real forward-serving website was now looking very dated, as I'm sure you saw.
Yeah.
I tried to kind of continue the theme of the business and the website. I kind of from the beginning I wanted this to be a fun business, not only to run but also from a customer perspective. It's like you're not shopping for auto insurance. You're buying chocolate. It's supposed to be fun. Right. It's candy. So I've tried to invoke some humor into the site and kind of build it around a theme of old 50s and 60s animation and kind of playing off some of that style.
Do people
of
ever
animation.
think it's more of the Willy Wonka style?
I get that question a lot, but
That's why I'm asking it.
yeah, I mean, I think people are generally let down when they come to visit. You know, you asked if there were Oompa Loompas running around, and no, there's none whatsoever. No chocolate river, nothing exciting like that.
I'm so sad.
Yeah,
But I will say, for the record, the chocolate's really good.
Well, thank you.
I mean, we have had many a coin in my life, a chocolate coin, because of the holidays or whatever.
Sure.
And it's usually, you're like, okay, it's good, but it's not, it's just lacking.
Yeah.
When we had the coins from WordCamp Raleigh, that's why 25 of them didn't make it to camp.
Sure.
I had to stop myself.
Sure.
It's really good chocolate.
And that's, again, another thing that I tried to do when I started the company was distinguish ourselves from the mindset that people had about chocolate coins. You know, they were really, back in the 30s is when they first started production here in the U.S., and they've kind of become associated with a very waxy, kind of a gritty taste to them.
Yeah.
Not something you would actually say, hey, I want a piece of chocolate, I'm going to go have a coin.
Right.
And
It's like the old Hanukkah gelt.
Exactly.
It's just
exactly.
it's low end, cheapy stuff. You get like 10 of them for, whatever it is. Or
Right.
Yeah.
You're excited because you win the dreidel game and you get 10 of them, but you don't really want to eat them.
Right.
So this was trying to take it to kind of a new level that not only the kids would enjoy, but also someone with, an adult palate would actually enjoy the quality of the chocolate.
Right. Okay. So you switched from Drupal to WordPress 2017, so it's been 2 years. Has it helped business at all?
Absolutely. The Drupal website was very rigid, especially not coming from with a background in any type of programming. It made it very difficult for me to make any minor changes, adjustments, even adding new products. Everything seemed more challenging, and I would have to bring in a programmer to help with the hard coding for that.
Right.
Much simpler now, just in terms of publishing content through the WordPress site, in terms of updating, prices or adding new designs, which we do quite often.
Right.
It's a breeze compared to the difficulty
I
before.
forget, what are you using on the back end for the shop? Are you using Woo?
WooCommerce, yes.
Nice. Nice. And who built the site? How did you find your current designer and developer? Two different people, same person?
This was actually the front end guy that I had originally started with on Drupal, had migrated away from the Drupal platform, kind of seeing that WordPress was the wave of the future, back 4 or 5 years ago. He started to kind of bone up his skills with that and approached me around 2016 about thinking about converting the site.
Okay.
He was coming to me with all kinds of terms that at the time I didn't understand.
Right.
Well, you've got to be responsive. What does that mean?
Right.
And things that were much more limited with the Drupal platform. So WordPress has allowed me to really, I think, open up much more than I was able to do before.
So did he do both front and back?
He did both front and back. We did some, he hired some people with specific skills to do some of the things that we needed to do. There's a lot of customization in our website. He's actually told me that mine was one of the more complicated sites that he's built in the 15 years he's been building websites. And a lot of that goes back to the customization and the fact that, I've got 1,000 stock designs that you can choose from on the website. And so we've got to, how do we present that? How do we give them the option to change the front of this? And it's not like going in and you have 4 colors of shirts to choose from.
Right.
There's many thousands of combinations front and back that can be done.
Yeah. Here's a random question. Seriously, just popped in my head.
Sure.
As far as a business opportunity, have you ever thought about having a subscription service for chocolate? I'm just saying.
No, I can't say that I've thought seriously about that.
Like a bark box or something to where people, a company or some company might want to have chocolate delivered every month or every week.
Not a bad idea.
I'll take credit for that. 5%.
5% sounds fair.
Or some chocolate, yeah.
I mean, obviously, that's a model that is working for a lot of companies right now.
Just came to me just now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. No, I'm going to write that down on my list. It's something to consider.
More things to do.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So to be respectful of your time,
Sure.
a couple more questions here. You run the company, you've done it for 20 years, it's growing. We talked again before I hit record about scaling and going bigger because you don't have much competition in this industry, which is great. What's a concern with growing bigger? I mean, if you 10x your business.
Sure. Scaling it has become more of a personal issue to me than it has a business decision. When I was for starting out, I had much more visions of grandeur of building it to a major competitor within the chocolate field.
Hershey,
Ghirardelli, someone of that nature. And we actually started as a full-time chocolatier. I mean, we were doing truffles, we were doing molded chocolates, any shape, design, chocolate CDs when that was a thing.
Right.
The coin, though, was an underutilized product here in the U.S. Over in Europe, it's more popular. But over here, no one was really doing anything besides the standard Statue of Liberty or a Kennedy, image on a coin. They weren't doing the personalized things, and especially on a higher quality tasting chocolate.
Right.
So scaling has been a mixed bag for me. It's something I'm still pushing forward and I'm looking to do, but I've reined it in quite a bit from what I originally had planned. I want to keep it more manageable now and run it to where it affords me the lifestyle that I want, allows me to do the part of the business that I consider fun and where my strengths lie.
Right. So you matured in the expectations of what you want for life versus what you think you should have for appearances.
Exactly. Right. I was one of those that it was very deep. I was one of those that, swore before I had kids that I would never be the type of guy that was, working 18 hours a day and neglecting my family. And you look back at some point and you go, I kind of have become that. And your priorities obviously change, and you start to decide that, growing a business to a multi-million-dollar level is not necessarily the carrot that I want to reach for.
Right, it's not the end all.
Yeah.
So that leads me to my second to last question.
Sure.
How do you handle stress in running the business? I mean, being an owner is different than being an employee. And you've been an owner for 20 years.
It's tough. It continues to be tough, and I've tried to evolve the ways that I deal with stress. But this is my baby. I take it very personally. And when a job doesn't go well or a customer's not satisfied with the final product, I tend to take that very hard. I've learned not to do that as much. You're not going to be able to please everyone, and the stress is it's not going to help you in the long run. So I've tried to figure out ways to mitigate that, deal with the crises that come up as they can be dealt with, and move on from there.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, any issues, or have you had any bouts of burnout?
Oh yeah, I'm in one as we speak.
As my audience knows, I just did an episode 2 weeks ago about burnout.
Really?
I did, and I went through it. I mean, it's hard. We've talked many a time at Caribou Coffee, that's where we met, about that, or just about the struggles, and it's difficult. And that's, as we get older, we realize that alluring goal of the multi-million of that scale is a carrot that may not be worth it.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So
the burnout is a real thing. It's frightening. At least it was to me when it happens, because it's not my nature to be kind of, have that malaise about, I don't really feel like going to the office today. I don't really feel like doing that today.
Right.
And so it's something I try to break out of. And a lot of times when you're in that overwhelm situation, that just adds more stress.
Right. It's a vicious circle.
It's exactly
a cycle
right.
there. Right.
Exactly right.
All right, final question.
Sure.
3 tools that you use on a daily basis to run a business.
Sure.
There can be any tools that you use, because people always want to know, how do you run businesses?
Well, I'm a Mac guy. I always have been, since the days of the Mac SE. So I know you guys don't consider Macs real computers.
I do.
Oh, there. Well, thank you. But a couple of things that I use kind of on a daily basis. One is a program called Things, which is a task management program. I'd be lost without that. Everything from picking up milk and picking up the kids from baseball practice to long-term projects that I've got scheduled out with future start dates and future reminders. My entire life basically lives within that program.
Okay.
Drafts is another program that I use quite a bit, kind of as my start for basically any written text. I'll do anything from customer emails in there to blog posts to starting out mind maps. And then drafts will allow you to send it to any number of different programs from there. It's got built-in actions. It makes it just real easy to use a central repository and kind of filter your text out from there.
I've actually been looking. I was talking to my developer and I use text edit for notes and stuff when I talk to clients. And it's okay, but it's single. Anyway, it's not great. So he wants me to go maybe to NVAlt because it's also like a central repository of just keeping stuff together. So it's just there's so many tools.
I used NVAlt a few years ago, and that almost I kind of see that as almost the the early beginnings of a program like Drafts, and that's just taken it to such a new level where there's so many actions built in. You can go online, download additional actions, and even do multiple things. I can send it to my task manager. I can send it to Evernote. I can email, text message. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, and you don't have to go searching. Where did I write that? Was it in Notes? Was it in in Evernote?
Okay. And the third one?
The third one, I would probably say I'm a voracious reader, and I use Instapaper quite a bit. I've actually kind of taken that to another level. A lot of industry articles, a lot of things when I'm trying to learn a new skill, learn about certain SEO techniques, I will Instapaper those, save them for later. And then I've added on an additional service to that called Readwise, which will take any highlights that I do in Instapaper. It'll also pull in anything from Apple Books or from Kindle notes that I've done highlights, and kind of present them to you in a once a day format. Because I think one of the things you do a lot is when you save articles and you highlight articles, you never go back.
Go back.
Right, and this is a way I almost kind of see it as a continuing education, because it'll on a daily basis bring up 4 or 5 highlights that will kind of remind me of the importance of.
I need to check that out.
Yeah,
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time. How can people follow you, find you, order chocolate online? Where would the best place for people to go to keep up with you?
You can find us online at foiledagainchocolate.com, and basically anything you can imagine, we can develop it on a chocolate coin for you.
Awesome. And you ship nationwide?
Nationwide, international as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and
it's a pleasure.
I'll link to all that in the show notes. And thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
So I hope you enjoyed that interview with Scott. I certainly did. Certainly, yes. I certainly did. Had a great time talking to him. We talked another 45 minutes after the fact about life and everything else in that arena of running small businesses and the ups and downs. Didn't record that because it's kind of personal sometimes. And he generously offered, actually, he set up a coupon code in case you want to order some chocolate coins. If you use the code WP15, you'll save 15%. Full disclosure, I get nothing from this. Not even no affiliate, no free chocolate, just, sharing. He was super nice about it. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a code for your audience. So if you want to save 15%, you can. He's a great guy. Really do like him a lot. So thanks again, Scott, for being on the show. And if you want some great chocolate coins, everybody, go out and order some over at Foiled Again Chocolates. So link in the show notes. Okay, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week's tip, it's a website. It's a tool, actually. It's phpliveregex.com, liveregex.com. It is the website and tool that was used to help me last week with the HT Access episode and doing some rewrites and conditions and stuff. So check that out as well over at phpliveregex.com. All right, that is it this week. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use the SpeakPipe functionality of the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon. If you want to sponsor the show, you can do that too by being a sponsor. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. Bye-bye.